The voice of the drum calls. It sings a song of those who came before us and those to come. A song of survival and strength. A song of participation and voice. A song that calls us together. When we come together and participate in the 2010 census, we use this tool as the voice of all our Native people. Our voice. It is in our hands. 2010 census.
Ready to go, and welcome to this edition of the Native News Update. I'm your host for today's program, Paul DeMain. Many of the stories read here can also be found at our website at indiancountrynews.com. Here are the stories for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources on this Wednesday, March 17th. The Pacific Smelt, a small silvery fish that was a staple of Northwest tribes when Lewis and Clark expedition arrived, is getting federal protection because it's been declining toward extinction due to global warming and other factors. The fish, also known as candlefish, will be listed as a threatened species in the Federal Register this week, the NOAA Fisheries Service said. It is too early to tell whether the threatened species listed will shut down the very small commercial and recreational smelt fisheries regulated in state waters, said biologist Garth Griffin. The Cowlitz tribe in Washington state, which once depended on abundant catches of the fish in the Columbia River for food and an item for trade, asked for the listing in the year 2007. The Native Arts and Cultures Foundation announced that it has fully staffed its operation and is gearing up to announce its inaugural grant guidelines this spring. The foundation's board is also growing. Actor Adam Beach will serve on the foundation's advisory board, and Oneida Nation elder Keller George has joined the board of trustees. Beach becomes the second member of the advisory board alongside Buffy St. Marie. The foundation has established offices at the Fort Vancouver Historic Preserve in the Portland, Oregon metropolitan area. The Native Arts and Cultures Foundation was launched in May of last year to promote the revitalization, appreciation, and perpetuation of Native arts and cultures. For more information, please visit the nativeartsandcultures.org. The former energy attorney and member of the Navajo Nation is now executive secretary of the Colorado Commission on Indian Affairs. Lieutenant Governor Barbara O'Brien this week announced Carol Harvey's appointment. In her post, Harvey acts as a liaison between the Southern Ute and Ute Mountain Ute tribes, the urban American Indian population, and the state of Colorado. At its regular March meeting, the Cherokee Nation Tribal Council voted to pass an act to protect species that have cultural significance to the Cherokee Nation and its citizens. Included in the act are the bald eagle, black bear, mountain lion, sometimes called the puma or panther, and any other plant, animal, or aquatic species designated as a culturally protected species as determined by regulations established by the tribe's Natural Resources Department and approved by the Cherokee Nation Environmental Protection Commission. The act makes it a crime to take or possess a culturally protected species from Indian country, with certain exceptions such as eagle feathers obtained through a repository or rehabilitation efforts for a live animal. In other business, the council authorized the formation of one common board of directors for major corporations owned by the Cherokee Nation, passed resolutions authorizing an off-track wagering compact with the state of Oklahoma, authorized the establishment of an educational trust for the Cherokee Nation Higher Educational Program, and recognized former Deputy Principal Chief Hastings Shade as the National Treasurer of the Cherokee Nation. The council also confirmed the nomination of Rob Thompson as a board member of the editorial board of the directors for the Cherokee Phoenix newspaper. And it is Ask Elouise about the Cobell Settlement, and it is now a column with questions, so we're going to ask and see what Elouise Cobell says. It says, when will I receive my funds? The answer is it depends on when Congress passes legislation implementing the settlement and its final approval by the courts. The settlement agreement provides that the first payment should begin shortly after final approval and will continue for at least 6 months pursuant to court order. She says, I know many of you are concerned that it may take years to receive your share. She says that isn't true. We have designed a formula to ensure that that won't occur. Another question is, when will the settlement be finally approved? The answer, she says, is after legislation is passed, the district court will schedule a hearing to consider the settlement and decide whether to grant preliminary approval of the Settlement Act. At that point, there will be a 2 to 3 month period where notice will be provided to class members, after which a fairness hearing will be held so that the court can hear any objections to the settlement. If the judge deems the settlement fair, then he will issue an order of final approval. The Court of Appeals may then consider any appeal from class members. If there is no appeal, payment should begin 60 days following the final approval. If the Court of Appeals accepts an appeal, payments could be substantially delayed. And my understanding is the legislation has been set back until sometime for approval in April at the moment. The University of Michigan says it will consult with Indian tribes over human remains that remains in its collections in response to newly released federal rules. The U.S. Interior Department published the rules this last Monday under the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act. The rules are for handling remains that can't be clearly linked to a specific tribe. University spokeswoman Kelly Cunningham says it will obey the rules and hold talks with Indian groups. The rules will take effect May 14th. Michigan has faced tremendous criticism for retaining the remains of about 1,400 Native Americans in its archaeological collection. In October of last year, it formed a committee to review its own policies on handling Indian bones and artifacts. New Mexico's commuter rail service, the Rail Runner Express, will open a new station next week on tribal land between Santa Fe and Albuquerque, New Mexico. The train will start making stops at the Kiowa Pueblo station next Monday. It's on land of the Pueblo formerly known as Santo Domingo, about 25 miles south of Santa Fe. It will be the 12th stop along the 100-mile train route between Belen and Santa Fe. A ceremonial ribbon cutting took place for the station on March 16th. And that is the latest roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. We want to thank you all for stopping by here. Stop by again soon. Miigwech.